Hello everybody and welcome back to the multiplayer project, where I'm gonna be honest, I am a little bit less prepared than usual, but this should still be fine. So in this episode, we need to do server-side character creation, but first let's do the rest of the UI interactions for the character creator, updating the character appearance, especially for sliders. So we are going to minimize this, and we are going to pop open our channel MMO scene. Obviously, when we change our sliders, it currently does nothing, and we're going to have a slightly different approach for the sliders, because we actually need two different values, and the way that we're doing this currently for the sliders isn't going to work. So if we come into our viewport here, into here, we can see that for these object contents here, when we do this, we're just passing in head type equals a hard-coded number. And that's fine for these. We can update that as needed later on. But when we're checking out the sliders here, currently all that happens when we actually do the slider is we just do labeled slider.onSlider value change. And that has access, actually, to the information that we need. So we're going to do this in labeled slider. Let me just pull that open here. Here is our labeled slider script. And we are going to do a quick update to this. So first thing we're going to do is a header here, and this is going to be only for character creation screen. Wonderful. And we're going to need three things here. A public bool on character creation screen. We're going to need a public character creation screen. Wonderful. And then we're going to need a public string modify field. Now, technically these two are fields, and this one is a reference. We're going to leave it in this region for now. It might be slightly confusing, I suppose, but all we need to do is update our onSlider value change here, and this is going to be if on character creation screen. We don't want to do this if we're not on the character creation screen. Then we want to say screen.onChange option, and this is going to be string.format, and this is going to be 0 equals 1. And those parameters are, of course, going to be modify field and slider.value, if I can type, value.toString, and this is going to be 0.00. Okay, so that just gets us our format there, and that will be absolutely fine. Now, obviously, this doesn't currently update from the server, and it's never going to. The character creation screen here is never going to receive anything from the server, so that's fine. So we want to make sure that this is on the character creation screen, and the modify field here, if we go up to the character creation screen, we can see that this is called body option slider, and the other one is face option slider. So that's perfect. So this is going to be body option slider, and then we're going to put in our character creation screen. Wonderful. And then in the face, we're going to do the same thing on this labeled slider. This is on the character creation screen, and the screen is this one up here, and this modify field is going to be face option slider. And it's as simple as that. So if we run this at this point, we should be able to go into our body options, change this. It's 44.68. Let's change this one differently. We're going to make this just equal to 60.2. Okay, so in theory, those should be updated. Technically, I haven't tested doing it with the input field, so this is going to be new. Let's see. 44.68, 60.2. Perfect. That's exactly what we were looking for. So there's our sliders implemented, and of course we also want to get the rest of these done. So the toggles here, we want to make sure that these are on value changed, and this should be character creation screen on change option, and this option would be body toggle equals. Technically, we need to know if this is on or not. So we actually have to do this the same way. That makes things interesting. I didn't think of that. I'm not prepared for this. I told you I wasn't prepared for this episode, and it's true. I'm not prepared for this episode. Let's see here. How do we want to do this? We could put in an extra script here to hold that information. Yeah, I guess we could. That's probably going to be the best way to do it. So we'll go into our UI, into our character select, and we're going to create a C# script, and we're actually going to call this character option holder. And let's genericize this. So this will need access to the character creation screen. I did something here. We need to actually open this up. So here's the character option holder. So this is going to need a couple of things. We're going to go into our labeled slider here, and we're actually going to cut this out of here. Like so. And then we're going to do this. Wonderful. Actually, no, I changed my mind. We're going to leave this as it is for right now, because I'm not sure how we would call this function. We would need a reference to the character option holder, I suppose. This would largely remain the same. So for right now, we'll do this, and maybe I'll come up with a better way to do this in the future. So we'll just do a public void on option change. And this is going to take in a float value, or this could take in a bool. We'll make several of these. On option change, bool. This is going to be bool value. Okay. Next, we're going to do public void on option change color. This would be a color value. We'll do a public void on option change selection. It's going to be an int value. And then we can take, let's see here, we've got several of those. We would need a slider. So public void on option change slider float value. And I think that's all of the things that we have now. That should support all of them. With us taking in this value, we should be able to get away from doing this, in theory. Yes, we absolutely can. So let's just cut that out of there, and let's erase this again. It just goes to show how I'm not prepared for this. And if for the on option change bool, we don't need to know if we're on the character creation screen. We can assume that we are, so we can get rid of this little bit. We will need access to the screen and the modify field. And then this would be simply value.toString, and we would not pass in this for right now. I'm not sure if bools output as a 0, 1 or as true, false. I guess we'll find out. So it should be as simple as that. And in theory, that means that we can remove this, except we're utilizing this in our generic thing here. And we should probably just have this be character appearance. So we can modify this a little bit more generically. And then we would do appearance, and then we would copy in this on change option here. We'll just completely get rid of that out of character creation screen, and we'll just fully genericize this. So this would probably be a private void. And then this would be taking in the appearance, like that. And then we'd simply call onChange option here, and it would automatically do all this lookup for us. Yeah, that should work fine. So that'll give us a bool. And then this would give us a color. Again, I'm not entirely sure how that color is going to output. In theory, this is all the same thing, but the reason we have different variables here is so that we can take in a different parameter so that we can have the this set up correctly. So there we go. And we're just going to paste all these in. This is exactly the same here, no matter what type it is, but we need this like this for dynamic functions. Okay, so in theory, that allows us to put in a character option holder and make all of these exactly the same. So we're going to clear that for now, and we're going to make this labeled slider, we're going to have this have, which one is this? Character option holder. Okay, so we put this in right here, and that allows us to grab our appearance, and we can set that to anything we want later on. For now, it's just going to be the character selection screen, or the character creation screen, rather. And the modify field here is, of course, going to be the... Let's see, this is the face option slider. Like that. Then, all we need to do is go into the slider here and add in another function here. And this would be on the labeled slider. And this would be character option holder dot on option change slider in this case, except we want this to be a dynamic float. Like that. So that just passes that in, and it will automatically do all of that. For the labeled slider, we also want to do this on end edit here. So we will put... Actually, no, we don't. We don't need to do that. It will automatically do that because on end edit changes that. Okay, so many of these are not going to work because they're missing now. That's okay. We're going to run this for right now. And we're going to just test the face options slider here. 28.51. 28.51. Technically, it went a little further than that. We can truncate that just down to 2 floating points, which I want to do. We don't need any precision higher than that. Wonderful. Okay, so now let's go through these and make sure these are all set correctly. This should be set to character appearance dot, or rather character creation screen. No, what am I doing? This needs to be set to itself. All of these need to have a character option holder, like so. There we go. That would help. And we'll put these right up over here. I want it above the toggle. No real reason, but we'll grab the character appearance from the character creation screen. And then the modify field here for all of these is going to be body type. Actually, for all of these, it's head type. Did I call it head shape? I think I called it head type. Let's double check. Yep, I called it head type. Wonderful. So all of these are going to be set like that, and then we need to set this to be character appearance, or character option holder, rather. They need to be set to their own character option holder. So I'm actually going to delete all of these, and we're going to have this toggle here, and this is going to be set to its own character option holder. And we're going to set this to toggle, or rather character option holder, dot on option change selection. And this is going to be selection equals 0. And then we're going to just duplicate this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. Wonderful. And then we'll just go through this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did not mean to do that. 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, wonderful. So that should set the head types, and we need to do the body type now. So let's make sure to grab these. The toggles are all in here. We'll select all of these. They're going to need a character option holder, and I'll just place this up here for ease of access. It'll all have the same character appearance, and this is going to be the field body type. But now we're going to need to start doing these one at a time, unfortunately. So we're going to set this to character option holder, although I'm going to copy this first. There we go. And then we'll have this set to on change selection. Right? Yes, this is a selection. And then it would just pass in slim masculine is all we need. Excellent. So the same thing here. This is going to be on change selection, and all we need is average masculine. And for the strong, we'll do the same thing. So this is on change selection, strong masculine, and finally large. We'll put in this same one. toggle would then be, except it would be in here, on change selection, large masculine. Wonderful. Same thing, of course, for the feminine body types. We'll put in the character option holder, and we'll do on change selection, and we would pass in slim feminine. It is expecting an integer, isn't it? That's a good call. Thanks, compiler, for not letting me know about that. We'll make an overload here for public void on option change selection, and this is going to be string value. Because some of these we might want an integer, and some of them we might want a string, so it makes sense to support both. So we'll do that, and we don't, of course, need this toString call, because this is just a string. Excellent. Now the question is, can we set this, yes, to the string type? Body type equals slim masculine. And interestingly, it actually remembered that, which I find fascinating. That is very fascinating, actually. So we'll set that to the string type, strong masculine. And then we'll do the same thing here. This should be to the string, large masculine. Same thing here to the string, slim feminine. And then this needs to be set here to the string type, average feminine. And this needs to be set to the string type, strong feminine. And one more time, we need to set this to be the same thing, large feminine. We do not need that slash there. Excellent. Okay, so that should be that set up. Let's go ahead and test this. So if we run this, we should be able to set this to, say, average masculine with this head toggle, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this should be set to that, average masculine, head type 6. Perfect. So that is our body type and our head type complete. And then these sliders here, this labeled slider should already be... Actually, this labeled slider is not already set up because we set up this one. So we need to set up this one similarly. This will need to have a character option holder, and we will set that to this character appearance. And this is going to modify field body slider? Is that what I called it? Body option slider. Okay. Body option slider. Wonderful. This slider, of course, is going to need to have another function called, and that will be character option holder on change slider, the dynamic float version. Excellent. And then this toggle will have to be completed. So we will put in a character option holder, place that right up here. This will also be set to character appearance, and we will have this modify the field body option toggle. There we go. And this is going to be set up to just do the dynamic float, or rather the dynamic bool, on option change bool. Wonderful. Okay, the labeled slider here is already set up, so that should be the body slider set up, or the body element set up, rather. So let's go into our body options and test those. We'll turn this off, and then at 46.76, and that is set to false, 46.76. If we change this back to true, true. Fantastic. So there's our body sliders done. And now we will just do our face sliders here real quick. No, not a new script. I want a character option holder. There we go. This is also going to be tied to the character appearance, and this is going to be face option toggle. Wonderful. And then we'll need to put this into the onValueChanged, and that is just going to use the dynamic bool. So dynamic bool on option change bool. Fantastic. And then this labeled slider is already set up. So that should be all of these UI elements set up, and we just need to duplicate those and change them as needed, and it should be super flexible. So that is great, and that means that we can scratch this off of the to-do list. Wonderful. Now we still need to do server-side character creation, and I am still committed to doing that in this episode. It's going to be a little interesting with the messaging. I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle that yet, but we will get to that in just a moment, because first I'm going to show an explorer here, and let me just get to where it actually... Oh no, we need to be in the server is where we need to be. So this is the channel MMO. Where's channel MMO server? Did I move that to... Yes, I moved that to my other monitor. Here it is. Wonderful. So we will go ahead and open that folder in the File Explorer, and we will head on over to the binary location of that, and let's open up a DB browser. Wonderful. And we are just going to do this. Okay, so we've opened up our database here. We're going to need to create ourselves another table here. So we're going to do so. This is going to be table characters. And we're going to add in several things here. Let me just pull this open. Oh, that's interesting. It went on this monitor. Let me just modify this table. Oh, look, you can see all of the things that we're going to put in it. Okay, I'm just going to move that off so that that's not a little distracting. And we're going to add a couple of fields here. Our first field is going to be the character ID, and that is going to be an integer, not null, primary key, auto increment, unique. Next, we're going to add in an account ID, and that is going to also be an integer. This is the account that the character is tied to, not null, and actually it doesn't need to be unique. It can't be unique. So I'm going to actually undo that on the other one. There we go. That one cannot be unique. We're going to add another field. This is going to be a character name, and this is going to be a text. Wonderful. This is not null. This one does need to be unique. Next up, we're going to add a character appearance, which is just going to be that UDP message output that we have created in the last episode. That is going to be of type text, and that is going to be not null. Next, we are going to need to put in a character inventory. So character inventories, plural. That's going to store potentially a lot of data in this field. Next, we're going to need a character abilities. That's also going to be text. And then we're going to need a character experiences. That's also going to be text. And finally, we will need character currencies. I've racked my brain, and I think that this is all of the things that we will possibly need to store. No, we don't want that to be integer. There we go. Maybe I'm wrong, but for now, I feel like this is all we need to store. So we will go ahead and hit OK on that. And inside of this, we will see that we have no characters. Wonderful. So what are we going to need to create a character? We're going to need the account ID of the account that created it. We're going to need a character name, a character appearance, an empty inventory, empty abilities, empty experience, and empty currencies. So let's hop into our database manager here, and we have this create account method that we're going to utilize to create a character. So we're going to make a public static void create character. Oh, by the way, I'm flying by the seat of my pants at this point. I didn't get this far in my preparations today. I probably should have, but we'll see. So what factors do we need here? We need an integer, technically. This would be an int account ID. What else do we need to create this? We need a string character name. Character name. We need a string character appearance. We need a string character inventories. So string character inventories. We are going to need a new line. I'm going to go ahead and put the character inventories on a new line here. There we go. We're going to need a string character. What's next? Experiences? Abilities. Okay. Abilities, string character appearances. And anything else? Well, experiences is what it's supposed to be, not appearances. Character experiences and string character currencies. Technically, that's a little long. I'm going to move inventories up to this line here, and we'll do the line break right here instead. Okay, so that's all of the information that we are going to need to create a character. And we're going to do this basically the same way. So we're going to do cmd.commandText equals insert into, this is going to be characters, and we're going to need account ID, and we're going to need character name, we're going to need character appearance, and I'm just going to double check that I started all of these with a capital. Yes, indeed. Okay. Character appearance, and then we're going to need character inventories, and then we're going to need, let's see here, this is going to be a long line for sure. We're going to need character abilities, we're going to need character experiences, and we're going to need character currencies. I don't really want to break this line. We're going to need a space here, and then we're going to do a plus, and then we're going to go on to a new line. Like we did here, it's just a little bit longer. And we're going to do values, and the values are going to be as follows. At account ID, these are all lowercase up above. I'm going to assume that's how we do this. At character name, at character appearance, also at character inventories, at character abilities, at character experiences, and at character currencies. Once again, it's a little bit long, but that should be all we need to do there. So let me just scroll back over. Actually, let me just show the way that string looks. Let me zoom out slightly so you can see better. There we go. Wonderful. You can pause that if you need to, but otherwise, we'll just go back, and there we go. So we're going to need to do some parameters, and you know, I was mousing over this prepare earlier. This says it does nothing. Commands are prepared as they're executed the first time and kept in prepared state afterwards. So I don't think we need this prepare call. We'll get rid of that. And in the meantime, we will say cmd.parameters.addWithValue, and this is going to be at account ID. I just want to make sure that I capitalize both I and D. Yes, I did. Okay. At account ID, and we're going to pass in account ID. Wonderful. Next, we want to say cmd.parameters.addWithValue. No, not add. AddWithValue. There we go. This is going to be at, let's see here, character name. And then that's going to, of course, be character name. Wonderful. And then we're going to do cmd.parameters.addWithValue, and this is going to be at character appearance. And we'll call this, of course, character appearance is what we're going to put in there. So cmd.parameters.addWithValue. Next up, we are going to be doing character inventories. So character inventories, and that is going to be character inventories. Wonderful. Next up, cmd.parameters.addWithValue, and that is going to be at, in quotes, at character abilities. And we're going to do character abilities. And then cmd.parameters.addWithValue is going to be at, let's see here, this character experiences. Character experiences. And we'll just grab that. And then one more, cmd.parameters.addWithValue. This is going to be at character currencies and character currencies. Wonderful. And now we'll just copy this in the try-catch block. And that should, I haven't tested it technically, but that should create ourselves a character. So in the server.cs here, we can then, actually, we're going to need to go into the comms enums because we're going to need a new message type. And this is going to be a message type of, I'm going to call this CHC, character creation request. And this is going to contain in it the header, and then char appearance, like that. And then we're going to do ... like that, just to clarify what exactly is in that. Okay, so we're expecting a character appearance when we get that. So we need to go into our server and say if we receive a message of type CHC, then we need to say case message types dot CHC. This is a CHC message requesting character creation. We're just going to break for right now, and then we're going to say process CHC message. Are we going to need anything? Well, yes, we are. We are going to need access to the message. We don't care about the timestamp. We don't care about the header. So that should be all that we're receiving here, if I recall correctly. So we want to pass in the message. We also want to pass in the client session.address because we will need to respond to it. We might need more things, but for now, that's what we're going to go with. We can go ahead and minimize these messages here. And we're going to go ahead and put in a new public void process CHC message. And that is going to be string message. This is not an encrypted message, so we don't need to decrypt that. And we're going to want to say session client session. And actually, yeah, let's just pass the client session, not the address. Okay, so when we're processing this, we need to do a couple of things. First off, we need to check to make sure that the character name is not already taken. So let's check to see if the character name is taken. We're also going to need a quick extra message type. So this could be, say, a CRP, character creation result, or response. Either would be fine. And this would simply be header, result, reason. Excellent. That's the salt generator. We don't need that. Not right now, anyway. So let's check to see if the character name is taken. So first thing we're going to want to do is look it up in the database. So if database manager.check if exists on table characters where field character name, this should be with a capital C, equals the value of message. We're going to need to parse this out, of course. So let's do that now, actually. So string, we'll call this message components equals message.split Because what are we expecting again in this? We need to go in here and we need to look. We're expecting a header and a character appearance currently. We're also going to need a character name for sure. So a name and character appearance is all we should need. Right? Right. We can create everything else on the server side ourselves. So we're going to need to split this out at the comma. And that should, in theory, mean that message components 0. Let me comment that out. Message component 0 equals our character name, question mark. And then message components 1 should equal our character appearance. In theory. Okay, so that's fine. We need to check if it exists, then message components 0. So if it already exists in the database, then we need to return. But before we do that, we need to send a message of the type, what did I call that? CRP? Message types.crp. Yeah. And then we need to send in the string content, which would be 0 for false, DN for duplicate name. Okay. And then we send this, of course, to client session.address. Excellent. So now we'll return an error if the character name already exists. If it does not exist, so let's make it. Wonderful. So we're going to need to create a few strings here because we need to say database manager.create character, and that character is going to be in account ID, which should be from client session dot account ID. And then we're going to pass in the character name, which is message components 0. And we're going to pass in the character appearance, which should be message components 1. And then we're going to need to pass in the inventories, the abilities, the experience, and the currencies. And we're going to have to make those. So let's do so. Let's say string character. Let's see, what's the first one that we do here? This is going to be the character inventories. Equals, this is going to be an empty inventory. So this is going to be char inventories. This needs to be in quotes, of course. Char inventories. And then we're just going to do that for right now. Except that we're going to need to have something in here, which is going to be basic inventory. And then that's just completely empty. So that's our initial inventory there. So we'll go ahead and pass that in. That is going to be character inventories. And if we have items here, we would do like some item, probably like a seed used to generate the item, or a something along those lines. But this would be comma separated in here, so it would be some item, some other item. But for now, it would just be an empty inventory. And I suppose we could say capacity equals, I don't know, what would a good default capacity be? Maybe 50? Okay, yeah. We'll just do that for now. So that gives us an empty inventory with a capacity of 50. Of course, we don't do anything with that right now. We should also maybe check to see if the number of characters that the account has made is too high, with a limit on character slots. We'll do that as a to-do. So I'll put that into it into the client.todo because that's where I'm just putting all of these. So I will have this be, and actually I'm going to get rid of this one because we don't really need it, but I'm going to have this say something along the lines of support for limited number of character slots. There we go. Actually, check for character slot limit on character creation. Something along those lines. We could also do it client side, but we'll just do it like this for now. So we're going to now need to create another string here. That's going to be the character, what's the next one? Abilities. And we're going to have this be at the same location, just to make it look a little cleaner. And this is char abilities. And that's just going to be empty for right now. There are no abilities with this character to start with. We'll take this down to another line, and we will pass in character abilities. Abilities, there we go. Next up, we are going to need another string, and this is going to be string character experiences equals experience. Wow, I cannot type. Experiences. There we go. And this is going to be level XP equals simply something along the lines of 0. Okay, so that'll give us our basic amount of XP that we can store. And then we'll also have string character currencies equals char currencies, not currencies, currencies. And then this would be something along the lines of, I don't know, we could just simply call this money equals 0 to start with. Excellent. And then we'll pass in character experiences and character currencies. Excellent. So there's the character created in the database. And then we'll say character created. Let's log in. Wonderful. For now, we're not going to log in, of course, but we need to send message types.crp, and this would just simply be 1 to client session.address. So that is success. Wonderful. Okay, so we've got that on the server side. Now we need to send a CHC message. So let's copy both of these message types over to the client in the comsenums. We're going to hop into that file, which is apparently... Oh, it is open. Never mind, I had just missed it. Okay, so that's a CHC and a CRP request. Perfect. So next, of course, we need to, on the character creation screen, put in a region UI methods and region. We're also going to need a reference to using Unity engine.ui. And then up here, we're going to need a public... It's not really a public field. This is more at this point a public reference. This is going to be a public tmpro.textmeshpro. Actually, tmpro.input field. Yeah, they called it tmp input field. And this is going to be the name field. And then for the UI methods, we are going to need to say something like public. Thanks, Windows. We're going to say public... why was I typing Windows? I've completely lost my train of thought now. Right. It needs to be public void on press create character button. We're not going to pass anything in there, but what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to check to make sure if namefield.content, or rather .text, is not equal to empty, or rather if it is equal to empty, then we should simply say we're going to need a reference to the UI manager as well. Public UI manager dot, or rather UI manager, there we go. We're going to need to say UI manager.showModal, and we don't need to do this in a job because this is happening in the Unity main thread. So UI manager.showModal, and this is simply going to be, you need a character name. Wonderful. If, however, that succeeds, then we are going to need to send something else entirely. We're going to need to actually submit this, and we are going to need to say something along the lines of, we're going to need a reference to the net manager, so public net manager. We're going to need to, at that point, simply say netmanager.send, lowercase, netmanager.send. We're going to need to send a character creation message, and that needs to have a string character name and a string character appearance. Of course, this isn't going to work here, but we'll just copy this and then delete that. There we go. And of course, we need to create that method, so we'll hop into the net manager now. In the message sending down here, we'll do a public void of the send character creation message. And all this is going to need to do is it is going to need to say something along the lines of client.send. We don't really need to prepare anything here. This needs to be a message type .chc, and we need to pass in a string here, which would be string.format, and this needs to be 0, 1, with this being the character name and character appearance. Okay, and now at that point, we should be... This, of course, needs to be the name field.text, and this character appearance would need to be preview appearance.toUDP message. Okay, so there we go. That gets us that information there. So we should now say something along the lines of UI manager.showModal submitting information. And we'll make this be a spinner, so true. Then, when the client receives a particular message, which should be in the net manager here, if we receive a case message types .chc message, we received a request to create a character? That should not happen. So we're going to do debug.log warning client received CHC message. This shouldn't happen. Okay, and then we'll break out of that. But the one that we're really interested in is this one. Case message types.crp. CRP message with a response from the server about character creation. We're going to need to parse the CRP message, and then we'll just pass in the content. Wonderful. Now we're going to do that much the same way we parse the ARP message here. So we'll do private void parse CRP message. Windows, can you stop? Apparently Windows can't stop. There. Now it can stop. Parse CRP message. We're going to need string content. So, we're going to do the same thing here. String pieces equals content.split on the commas. So, if pieces 0 equals 0, exactly the same thing, character creation failed. Let's see why. So we'll switch at that point pieces 1. Now currently we only have one error type here, so that's case DN. I'm just going to copy this here, this add job line, and this is, instead of account creation failed, this will be character creation failed, character name already in use. And then we'd break. Otherwise, we'll have a default here, and this will be exactly the same thing. I'm actually just going to copy this in. The only thing that will change is character creation failed, unknown error. We can add more error types later on if we need to. However, authentication would have succeeded otherwise. So we're going to do, or not authentication rather, character creation would have succeeded otherwise. So we're going to do this, just copy that in. We're going to say character creation succeeded. Let's return to the character select screen. So we need to hide the modal. We need to make sure that the login screen is inactive, which it should already be. The character select screen will set to active, and we don't need to show a modal there. But we will say UI manager.character select screen .request update. Now, of course, that doesn't work, and that's something that we're going to implement in the next episode. But for now, let's hop over to the character select screen over here, and we are going to say, that's in the UI manager. Hang on a moment. Let's go to the character select screen, and we're going to say, we'll make a new region. This is going to be a region updating, end region, and then this is going to be simply public void request update. We're not going to implement this yet, though. Okay. Is that everything? It probably won't work. But let's find out. I probably did something wrong. So let's turn off the character creation screen for right now. We have to make sure that the login screen is the one that is active. There we go. And we need to fire up the server here because we actually need the server for once. This is the channel MMO. We need the channel MMO server. There we go. We'll fire that up. Okay. Now we'll run this. We'll have to wait for the encryption handshake, but we'll log in just as soon as the encryption handshake is done. I really wish Unity would fix whatever this bug is, because it should not take this long. But there we go. Submitting information. Did I typo it? I may have typoed it. But if I did, it should have returned an authentication failure, right? Let's specifically typo it. We'll wait for the encryption handshake. It really shouldn't take this long. Uh-huh. Database is locked. I was trying to update the timestamp. Oh, you know why the database is locked? It's because we need to write these changes. And then close it. There we go. That should do the trick. Okay, so we will stop this and we will restart this. We'll start up the server there. And then we will start up the client again. And that would be the problem that we were having there, why we didn't receive a response from the server. So ASDF, ASDF. As soon as the handshake is done, man, it's annoying waiting for the handshake. There we go. Successfully logged in. Okay, we will create a new character. We'll name this character ASDF. And let's set this to, I don't know, a strong masculine body. We'll set this head type, the body options to something kind of random. Turn off this toggle option. This one can stay on. We'll set this one to there, and then the hair can be this hair. We didn't set this up. Create new character isn't going to do anything. And cancel is a placeholder. Yeah, that's true. We didn't set that button up, though. So the create character button needs to be set up to on-press create character button, which it already is. So why did that do nothing? Oh, this is a character select screen. This needs to be on character creation screen. There we go. Character creation screen dot on press create character button. Okay, now this should work. So let's run this, let the encryption handshake finish, and we will log in. Existing connection was forcibly closed by the remote host. That's unusual. Let's try this again. It received a result of positive, but for some reason the client just refused a connection from the server. We'll keep an eye on that, and if that continues to happen, it might be because we just logged out and back in. Or because we received a disconnect message. I bet that's what it is. Anyway, we'll connect here. Create new character. ASDF. We'll set this to strong masculine. Head type, just something kind of random. Turn off this option. We'll set that like that. Our hair can be set. There we go. Null reference exception. What did I do wrong? Name field. We did not set the name field. Of course we didn't. Yeah, none of these things were set. This is what I get for trying to wing it. Okay, UI manager. Actually, we'll just do that. We'll put in the net manager. We'll put in the UI manager. We will put in the name field. And we'll go ahead and rename this to the character name field. See, these are all things that I would have caught and gotten done with already previously. So we'll wait for the encryption handshake and we'll see if this crashes the server again. It should view it as a different session, maybe. Oh no, that would. Yeah, that would crash the server. Okay, I'm going to put that into our known issues for right now. Let's just hop into here and into the to-do. So here's the thing. When an account is logged in twice, it receives a disconnect, causing it to refuse connections from the other con. Okay, we'll fix that later. It's not a major issue. I mean, it's a kind of major issue, but it's not a completely game-breaking issue. We'll just need to properly check that we're only disabling the one. So we'll do ASDF and ASDF, and we will log in a moment. As soon as the handshake is done. There we go. We'll create this character, name it ASDF, strong masculine, and we're going to go with this head type, and we'll do something kind of like this. Yeah, this looks like a good face. And we'll go with this hair option. Okay. So, it broke a little bit, but if we pause this and we set the character creation screen to not be active, then that should have put us here. Yes, indeed it did. So we need to make sure that our character creation screen, or rather our... Let's see, our net manager is where we're doing this. In here, we need to make sure that we set our character creation screen, UI manager dot character creation screen dot game object dot set active false. I forgot to do that. And the other thing that we need to do is we need to go in here. It shouldn't have output anything over here. Yeah, it did not. But we need to fire up the Database Explorer again. And we will go ahead and do that. And let me pull open the thing here. There we go. We put this in. If we browse the data on the characters, look at that. Character name, ASDF. Here's our character appearance. We got a strong masculine body, head type 6. Our body option toggle is equal to 2. Our body option slider is at 62.17. Our face option toggle is false. And our face option slider is 26.06. And our hair type is 6. We have an empty basic inventory with a capacity of 50. We have no abilities. Our level XP is 0. And our money is also 0. Wonderful. That is absolutely glorious. So that is character creation. It just exists in the database, but that is the information that we need. So, next up, and of course this is going to be the end of this episode, it's kind of long, so that's server-side character creation, complete. Next up is actually not going to be character login, but rather character select screen population if time character login. I don't know how long this is going to end up taking. Probably not very, realistically. So we may be able to get to character login. But we are making good progress on this. For now, though, you can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.